Yeah, upper right hand, you see the gentleman in the red. So he just pulled one out. So what are these ballots doing there, separate from all the other ballots? And why are they only counting them whenever the place is cleared out with no witnesses? Is the question. So these machines can process about 3,000 ballots an hour. You have multiple machines there, and they're there for 2 hours. So you do the math. How many ballots went through those machines in those 2 hours when there was no one there to supervise, to be present, consistent with your statutes and rules, to supervise the tabulation? We believe that could easily be, and probably is certainly, beyond the margin of victory in this race. Because if it's only 3 scanners working for 2 hours, right, that's 18,000 ballots that went through. So we're now at 11:09. There were, in addition to the 4 workers that you see there were 2 other people who were bringing ballots in and out. The gentleman in red that you saw, and then a second person, I can't tell if it's a male or female based on their hair being pulled back in their mask, but in any event, that's 6 total people. And so if we were to sit here for the next 2 hours, what we would see is that this operation just goes on and on and on. They're scanning until about 12:55 in the morning. So we kept the video running. And we can show you the people who gave us the affidavits reappearing at that time, just as they said, around 1 a.m. to find out, are they in fact counting after they told us they would stop working or not? And we will fast forward to that, but have you all seen as much as you'd like to see of what's happening here?
I think so.
I think you basically get the idea.
Unless any member wants to see more.
Or you have any questions?
No, let's go ahead.
Okay, so let's fast forward to about 12:55 in the morning. Okay, so it's updated to 12:50. You can see these people are still there, up in the upper right-hand corner. Basically, they've wrapped up. This is the end of their operation. They've now completed about 2 hours of unsupervised tabulation of ballots. So now you're going to watch them leave. And let's fast forward to, let's go to 1:30. I think it's between 1:30 and 1:45 is when our 2 witnesses come back. They had to fight through security to get in there, but they did. And they say in their affidavits that 2 different people affirmed for them that people had been counting from, 10:30 when they cleared out until about approximately 5 minutes before they arrived. And they have the names of those people who told them that. Okay, now we're looking at, what is that, 1:42 in the morning. Is there a way to fast forward a bit or make it go a little faster? Okay, there are guys right there in the lower left-hand corner. So they've now returned to State Farm Arena, having heard from the press that they had continued counting because they wanted to see for themselves if that was really happening, which was a complete contradiction to what they had been told by at least one person from Fulton County who's an employee and spokesperson, and also the lady in the blonde braids we spoke about earlier. And so they see for themselves. And from this we get the affidavit. I don't know the name of the lady in the blonde braids. They simply gave a description to us, and you can make out clearly who she is based on the people in the film. Lady in the blonde braids halfway down her back is the person who yelled out, "Everyone leave," and stopped counting. I believe Ms. Waller is the spokesperson for Fulton County Elections, who remained behind the other two people they don't have names for. They just said they were older women, and one of them had the name Ruby across her shirt somewhere. And that's as much as they know about who those people were. So our guys go in, they look around, they ask a few questions, and they leave. It is from their affidavits that we even knew to ask about this. And you might recall that the press reported there was, like, a supposed water break or water main break or pipe break or whatever, and that this was an excuse for people clearing out of State Farm Arena. It's not clear from the affidavits I saw whether or not that was the reason given by the election official or whether they gave any reason at all. They just said, stop, we're leaving, we'll be back at 8:30. So I don't know if that was at play here or not. Okay, can we back up to 8:22 a.m. in the morning, same frames, because we wanted to know, when did that table get put there? Who put it there? When did the ballots get put there? Who put it there? Okay, so 8:21. You'll notice the table's not there at all. Here it comes. There's the table going in that we're talking about where the ballots were obscured. That lady who's moving it is the lady with the blonde braids. She's dressed differently in the morning, so it took us a while to figure out that's the same person that you see at night with the blue apron on, who's yelling for everyone to leave and who stays behind to help tabulate ballots after they've all left. So I can see that she's the one who chose to place that table there, close to the scanners. And so the video is still under review. We need to spend hours reviewing carefully how those ballots got there. But we can tell you that it appears to be an aberration from how the other ballots were handled in that room throughout that day. So that's the gist of it. Do you have any questions?
Any questions? Senator Deedy?
Fulton County Chairman Rob Pitts testified in a committee earlier today that the water break occurred at 6:07 a.m. and was repaired by 12:07 a.m. 8:07, 2 hours, 6:07 until 8:07, and that the water main break did not disrupt the work of the whole room. That his example was that if we were counting ballots working in here and the water main break was in the back, or the leak, that we would just simply move out of the way of the leak. But he testified this morning that the leak occurred at 6:07 and was repaired by 8:07 a.m. From what I'm seeing here, I don't see anybody moving around to avoid a leak.
No.
He did state that the leak was greatly exaggerated and that it was not like wiped out the whole place, but I just thought that might be.
What's that?
I mean, the water leak, according to the commission chairman, was at 6:07 a.m.
I'm told that we have a video that it was a toilet leak and not a water main break. But I know that Mr. Pitt's name was mentioned in one of our affidavits, and our witness says that he was physically present in this room clear up until everyone was made to leave. So presumably, if he was in the room at the time, they made the announcement he would be a witness to that. He was one of the last to leave, but he did leave in front of our witnesses, before our witnesses. Yes?
Senator Parent?
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. We heard from the Secretary of State's office earlier, just a couple hours ago, that they've investigated this repeatedly, that they had a monitor on site the entire time, and frankly, this has been debunked for weeks by our Secretary of State's office.
I doubt he's seen the video.
Evidence? Then I think the courts will probably be able to handle this once you present your evidence to them. As I'm aware, there have been about 40 lawsuits dismissed already. And according to the law of the state of Georgia, we do not have the power to submit alternate electors. The provision in the law is quite clear at 21-501F.
Is there a question?
Senator, we'll ask questions. We'll have a time for statements at the conclusion. If we
Yeah, my question is, the question is, since this has been debunked repeatedly, what evidence can you give to us that counters what our elections officials have presented us with only an hour ago?
You just saw it. Your officials need to watch the video.
What about the fact that they say that they had a monitor there the entire time?
I can't speak for them.
Well, thank you.
They did not have the video.
They said they had a monitor the whole time. Be quiet.
You're
Okay.
looking at the room.
There's no Secretary of State.
Then maybe we should invite them back in.
All right, well, we may need to do that. Senator Tillery, what number are you? Number one.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ms. Pick. I just have two questions just to try to follow through and understand this a little better. Thank you for presenting this. Push on for you.
Yeah, get a little closer to it.
Okay, is that better? Just thank you again for being here. Thank you for presenting this. I just have two questions to kind of understand it a little better. My first is, I didn't have this before, but when Senator Perrin asked, it made me ask, have you been able to figure out where our monitor would have been? Or the monitor? Can you point that out
Yes.
to us?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's easier to see in, from where I'm sitting, slide in the top left. Can you see, can you help me understand where, if that's where, sorry, top right is where the scanners are, where would the monitor be in that screen? I'm just trying to be able to understand it.
Yes, it's very confusing because these frames don't portray that accurately. What the witnesses said is that when they were in that roped off area I just pointed to with the press, not only could they not see a single ballot because they were so far away, they couldn't see those scanners at all. The only reason that they knew the scanners were there is because the election official, Ms. Waller, told them so. So I don't know if that means, this is an enormous room, that there was like a curvature to the room, but that is not a straight shot from where you see where they would have stood to the scanners because they could not see those scanners. Now, other people could, depending on where you were in the room.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
The first thing is, when you do find out that information, if you don't mind getting it back to us, I know you will, and thank you for that. The second thing is just more like a chain of custody process.
Excuse me, Senator. I'm getting reports that it's difficult to hear, so you may need to get closer to the microphone. So,
I promise I'm not
hate
doing
to
it
do
for
that.
these guys. I'm doing it for these guys. So
Right,
as long as they
yeah.
can hear me, I'm good.
But a lot of people across the state want to hear what's being said.
On the second question I have, and thank you for your answer to that one. Thank you for getting us that. We'll look for the answer back from you. Just a chain of custody question now. If we could clearly see the ballots in the top right screen come out from underneath the table, I could not see that there was a cover on the front of the table until your 8:22 video. So that was very helpful. Is there anything, can you show us where other ballots were coming from? Have y'all been able to figure that out yet? Because I think if they were coming from a different place, obviously that raises even more of a specter of concern or question.
Right, so if you see, again, this is hard to understand where this would be coming from, but so there you have the black, I'm going to call it a suitcase, containers for ballots. You also have boxes. Those are being moved around the room throughout the day. So it appears to us they're coming from there.
From that back, from the top corner of the bottom left screen, is that?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
And from there, they're shuffled around a lot. It gets confusing to watch this because, again, you're not looking at a linear representation of the room.
Right.
Where they're not coming from, as far as we can tell, is from under that table or any table.
Right, and it does not look like the top corner of that bottom left screen is concurrent or consecutive or any way tied into the bottom corner of the top right screen. It does not look like those are congruent. We're not seeing them come out of that corner by coming underneath that table, correct?
I don't think we can tell that from the film.
And I'm sure y'all will get more information on that as well. Thank you for helping me